Hey now. Yeah, so in the studio today, my studio, literally a studio actually. It's there's no bedroom or anything. It's just a room that you walk into. So I don't really have an actual fancy recording studio or anything like that. So I can kind of say my studio in the studio today. Hey now. No, I was again just eating licorice like I was in the last episode. I don't know. I've been addicted to this licorice for several years. I don't want to say addicted, but it's definitely one of my favorite things. I think really the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is because my goal would be to have Australian licorice actually support me, to promote me and sponsor me. So that would be great if I could be the face of the product. That would be awesome if that was the product I was pushing and they were just giving me free licorice. I think I would consider myself made, and I will say I accomplished a great feat. But yeah, I'm kind of starting to get to know myself. I realize that because I go to the grocery stores. And my grocery store cart now, like I kind of know it, like I predict it, like I know what I'm going to buy, and it hasn't really changed these past few years. And it's like I know I can walk in blindfolded. I know where I need to walk, go to that aisle, grab the stuff I need, and then I'm done. I'm not checking stuff out. I'm not browsing. I'm not looking at other food items. I'm not curious about trying XYZ anymore. It's like I'm done with it. I know what I like. I know what I want, and really, I only wish that dating or other parts of my life were like that. I wish it was like the grocery store. I wish I just knew what I wanted and I could just say, hey, that's it. I'm going in there for that. I know what I want. I know what I need. And yeah, it's unfortunately hasn't been that way, other parts of my life. And here I am now doing this podcast with starting out my new journey. The thing I worry about with this podcast is like I wonder if it's just another excuse for me to not have to work hard, even though look, it's not true. If you're gonna run a podcast, let me make sure my mic gain is correct. Hey now, if you're gonna run a podcast, it's a lot of work, right? You're gonna have to work hard. You're gonna have to put in the work and release content all the time. So this isn't necessarily easy if this is the plan to do this long term as a career. But I've never been a really hard working person. I'm Mexican, so I think I'm kind of like a letdown to my people. But I remember growing up, and I remember my father even making comments. He was like, son, he was, just one of those like, I don't want to say old school fashion Mexican guys because he definitely wasn't all like that, but he was definitely a hard worker. My father worked 60 hours, sometimes 70 hours a week at his job. He was a director for an engineering firm. And then on the weekends, he just loved to do the yard work at the house. And we grew up in Arizona, so you imagine doing yard work in the summers. It was brutal. It was terrible, but he liked doing that. Keeping the house in order, just the yard work. He didn't like to do the laundry. He didn't like to cook. All that stuff he didn't touch. I think I saw my father crack one egg during the entire time that he was alive, and I was there to see him at the house. Right? I never saw him cook much or anything like that, but yeah, my father would always make comments like son, you better get a really good job, better have a good career because you don't like to work hard. And it's true. Like we would do yard work, and my father would force me to stop playing my video games to go out and do yard work. And I was just miserable out there. I wouldn't pulling the weeds out in the hot sun, trying to cut the grass, bagging up the grass, all that stuff. It was not fun for me. First off, I didn't enjoy it, and so I would have this bad attitude when I did it, which I kind of wish I hadn't been like that. But and then second, I just didn't like being out in the sun all day like that. So I was a pretty bad Mexican. Not really good at the yard work, and I don't like to be working at an office 60, 70 hours a week. And if you go to Mexico, it's, they have like 4 holidays for the year that they take off from work. I mean, they work like 6 days a week. They're working all the time. It's one of those countries that, like, if you grow up there and you work there, you're working, you're going to work nonstop every year. And I wouldn't be a good Mexican. I would not make a good Mexican. To add to that too, I don't eat rice and beans. It's not that I don't eat them. Like if I go to Chipotle and get a burrito, yeah, I'll get rice and beans in the burrito, but I don't like necessarily going out of my way to eat rice and beans, or I don't think of dishes with rice and beans in them. So, for example, if I do eat a Mexican dish and I go to a restaurant, I just prefer to fill up on meat and the protein, and to eat the main course dish, right? And it's not because I'm trying to be like a health nut. It's just that I just prefer eating meat. That's it. I just think it's just more fulfilling to just be eating a lot of meat. If I could have more tacos than filling up partially on rice and beans, I'd rather just skip the rice and beans and just fill up more on the meat. But yeah, I don't fit the stereotype. I'm not eating rice and beans. And I wonder if would it be like an Italian that doesn't eat like bread and pasta? I don't know. I don't know if it's exactly the same, but, and I grew up in America, so I've always felt more American at heart, even though I necessarily don't look like it. And I think a lot of people don't even know what I look like. I get usually Americans wondering if I'm Filipino, if I'm from Alaska, if I'm Native American, if I'm Samoan or Hawaiian. When I went to Hawaii, the locals there thought I was a local. So I guess I just look ambiguous. I don't know what happened to me, but that's fine. So I just have this very ambiguous look here in America that people don't know what I look like. But yes, American at heart, don't look like it. It's not like I go anywhere and tell someone I'm American and they go, "Really? You are?" Awesome. No, they go, "No, really, but where are your roots from? Like, where are you really from?" Right? No one just takes the response, "Oh, you're American. Okay, that's great. That's awesome." You always have to explain more, and it's like it's always funny to me because then I can kind of play the guessing game with them. I go, "Well, guess. What do you think I am?" And people are always like, "Oh, well, I don't want to guess because I think that would be racist, And it's like, what? you already implied it. You already implied it when you were asking me, like, "No, really, where are you from?" Like, so now all of a sudden when you have to take a guess, it's racist. But no, it cracks me up. I'm not mad. But no, going back to the licorice, I just think this would be great if that was the sponsor I got. And I did these YouTube videos, and that was like the peak of my success. I would consider that an accomplishment. And I know that this is something I really like, and I don't think, I take breaks from eating it, of course, sometimes, and then I'll always come back to it. And I think they've changed their brand name a couple of times. Before they were like New Zealand licorice, and now they moved to Australia. So I don't know what happened there. But I've been a huge fan, and you just kind of get to know yourself over time. You get to kind of know some of the things that you do want and that you do like. And I'm kind of finding out that stuff for myself. At one point in my life, in my early 20s, I was vegan. I didn't eat any meat for years. It was like 4 years. I didn't even eat like pizza. I would eat like bread with tomato sauce, but I wouldn't eat like a pizza, right? With like pepperoni, anything like that, cheese. And it was I don't know how I went through with that. In some sense, I felt like I was healthy because I was at a much lower weight than I am today. But I'll tell you that after 4 years, when I had my first steak again, because at the time I was living in the East Coast, then I moved to Texas for work. And when I moved to Texas, I was like, it's probably not a good place to continue being vegan. So I need to make sure I have my first steak and be ready to be prepared, right? For when I go out to places and I'm hanging out with people. I don't want to be that one weirdo there that's just like eating a potato, right? Baked potato with cheese, and everyone's like eating like barbecue and steak in front of me. So I bit into a steak, and I'll tell you, man, that steak was delicious. And I realized then that I was making a mistake. I had been making a mistake in my life by not eating meat. So I went back to eating meat, Went back to having pizza. Sometimes pizza with pepperoni, sometimes not. But having regular pizza, which I had also really missed. So there's some things in my life now that, food-wise and even health-wise, even though right now I'm not the weight I want to be, I know what I kind of want to do for exercise and where I want to be. And some interests that I have, like traveling, and some of the things now that I like to watch. I watch a lot of YouTube, also why I'm doing this, but I'm not watching a lot of TV shows. I'm not spending a lot of time on some of the things that I used to, or even video games. So I'm kind of getting to know myself better. But it would be great. It would be great if I really knew about some of those some of the other aspects of my life where I feel like things would seem more solid if I knew what I wanted in that place. But I guess that's been kind of the experience, the journey of life, to all of a sudden, like, all the things that have happened that I thought were going to go my way but didn't, and then it ended up being like some misfortune, right? And then it just leads me to now being here in a studio apartment at 32 years old, trying to start my YouTube career. But it's fine. I think it's kind of like that quote, right? It's like I step on my misfortunes, and because of that, I stand taller. I'd like to believe I'm standing taller. I'm 5'6", 5 foot, maybe like 7 with my hair up like this. So this kind of helps. Once I start balding, if I bald and lose my hair, then I'll officially be 5'6". But yeah, standing a little bit taller does help. And I think it's honestly kind of great to be here starting something new, especially on my terms, right? I don't have a manager over here yelling at me what to do. And I don't feel like an unproductive worker, right? I'm putting in the effort that I want to. It's not like I'm stepping into an office and just doing the bare minimum so that my manager doesn't yell at me. Not that I've had experiences too much like that, although some. But I'm doing something on my, out of my own desire, and it feels good. And I honestly don't feel like it's ever too late to start. Although then again, I don't know if 32 is considered that old, so maybe I'm still kind of a young person getting to say that. But yeah, I think a big part of the journey is you kind of go through these experiences. You come out with the purpose of learning and getting to know yourself better. And I think if that's what it takes sometimes, to have those misfortunes or those experiences to know yourself better, it's like it's you're just going to live a much more solid, I think, life from then on, especially as you're aware of this journey and these things that you're learning. It's like, that's it. Getting to know yourself is one of the hardest or biggest challenges, I think, in life. And so, yeah, that's what I'm getting to do now with this. And I think I'm going to learn a lot about myself now as I start to upload content, maybe get my first hater comments, have someone telling me how shit my material is. And then I'll get to learn how I handle sort of criticism and all those things. So really, I'm excited for all this. But yeah, anyways, trying to keep these videos at 10 minutes. I went over. Thank you for watching. Really, whoever you are, whatever, I don't know, you seem to have a lot of time or whatever on your hands. You pick my content. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And again, I'll be uploading here more content with new stories and just continuing to share new things with you. So thank you. Again, this was Hunter Kicks It, and Kicking It with Hunter, of course. All right. Later.